You're live.
Hello, welcome. This is Access Astrology. We are three astrologers who get together and look at what's going on in the heavens and see how that's reflected around us on the earth. And it's always a lot of fun. So this week is especially fun. We started out Tuesday with an eclipse, a solar eclipse at the end of Aquarius. And then the sun went into Pisces a couple days later. And then uh, coming up, we have Saturn and Neptune conjuncting.
Tomorrow
In
morning. Yeah.
yeah, tomorrow morning, in the beginning of Aries. So that's going to shake a few things up. My name is Mark Waltz. I'm talking to you from New York City. I'm joined by Heather
Heather Rowan Robbins from Ronan, Montana.
and
Welcome.
Ann Ortley, who should be with us shortly.
Yes. And what a day it's been. What a week it's been. We had Valentine's in the middle of that when no one was feeling particularly Valentineable, I don't think.
No,
Uh, and this Saturn, Neptune, there's so much, this is such a political year. And there's so many, the big transits just won't quit. But that Saturn Neptune conjunct in uh, Aries tomorrow, they're both in Aries now. They both dipped into Aries last summer and stirred up the questions. Uranus is back to where it was last summer, also July, August. And I noticed that at the moment, Uranus, the planet of change that electrifies whatever it touches, is within less than a degree to out the fixed star Algol, which is a planet we associate with losing your head, with changes in governments, changes in organizations. And that it doesn't necessarily mean you get decapitated, but sometimes when it's aspected, there is a rearrangement in power structures. Now, so and this
with those
morning,
with those big fixed stars, it's beyond being able to control it.
right?
You got to watch it happen and form your reaction from
Yeah.
there.
What's your experience with the fixed stars and that one in particular, Mark?
Well, it often comes in like a headless horseman, you know, just charging straight ahead, and all you can do is stand out of the way until it goes all the way through. That's the fixed star energy. They sit there and
We resonate with them or
yeah,
not?
exactly.
Uh, I noticed that we're looking at here the chart for America, the what we call the mythic America. Um, Next Wednesday, I'm doing a talk here on my Star Codes channel on Minneapolis with a Minneapolis astrologer, and we're going to break down all the planets, really interesting patterns around the city and the tendency for martyrs to be found in Minneapolis. We've got some really interesting stories on that, but that'll be next Wednesday. But here I'm looking at America's chart with that moon in Aquarius in the third. That's so much about the collective community and the people coming together and the great melting pot, that our neighborhood of people from all over the world. They had New York City is often referred to as, the world's hometown because there are people there from all over the world. And then, but the eclipse was within a degree of that moon, or a degree and a half of that moon in the third house. And that whole right for America to be the melting pot, to be the neighborhood, is under question. It's under assault. But it also, will it be eclipsed or will other people be eclipsed in the process? Is a really good question. I noticed that Saturn and Neptune conjunction, that's tomorrow at 0 degrees of Aries. And, again, Saturn and Neptune have conjunct in Aries only 3 other times in the last 2 millennia. It's not a common phenomenon. So it can really get the party started. It begins a new, and they never happened in 0 degrees either. That's been thousands of years. But they're going to be coming close to squaring the Venus over here. So it's really questioning how we connect with our uh, the people around other countries, how we're seen. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And how did you experience the eclipse?
Uh, I actually didn't notice anything really big. Sometimes it doesn't happen right away at the eclipse. It can be a couple weeks later that something comes in. So I'm sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Was it hitting anywhere in your chart?
Not close, no.
Hmm. So one of the other charts I was looking at was the Jackson. Jesse Jackson just died, and what an amazing person he was. Um, are you hearing an echo of my voice,
No.
or is oh, good? Okay, I am, and so I can ignore it. So we have his natal chart uh, in the inside, and his progression, and the planets around the outside. And I noticed that he's at that age we associate with a potential quick time to leave. Often very Uranian personalities that are brilliant. They have their way of changing the world or how the world we see the world. People with Uranus strong in their chart have a chance to leave quickly when they hit a Uranus return, or have a chance to leave. And my dad left it on his exact Uranus. He had Uranus very tight in his chart. The last pope died at his Uranus return. That died, and so we see. Um, I mean, Uranus has been over his natal Uranus. He'd been over once last summer, came back over it, and hit it a third time. It was approaching it for the third time, and he has a Uranus Saturn conjunction with the moon natally. So it was with Pluto opposed Pluto, Uranus conjunct Uranus. It was time to step off. Now he was born. I mean, it was not an easy end. In uh, that form of it's like Parkinson's, only much faster and much more intense. His neurological condition. And he was born with that Pluto in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, square Pluto. And I think that gave him such that intensity of speech. His I am somebody speech really changed so many kids. And I think that the gift of that, so the Uranus is opposed his Venus, exactly. Um, his natal Mercury Pluto square was resonating with this. And I think I gather the end was relatively easy, but the last couple of years would have been difficult. So we wish him well. We wish him well. I think when Pluto crossed his ascendant just a few years ago is when he really stepped back from the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on his chart before we?
No, it is an interesting way for him to work with the public, having natally the moon, Saturn, and Uranus all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going to change
It
the
makes him
world.
a unique person, and he was able to use his uniqueness to be like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. And which is wonderful. We have the Prince Andrew here, also a very different kind of chart with the Leo rising, and he's 3 months away from the progressed lunar new moon. And Pluto is right now squaring the midpoint between his sun and his moon. So we feel that There was an end of a chapter. Now, it depends on what your chapter's like, how you feel at the end of that chapter when you're hitting that progressed lunar new moon. So, um, we have with the Mercury today was that it's his birthday that he got arrested. Mercury conjunct his progressed Mars, which conjunct his natal Mercury. So in the eighth house, it's like being revealed some of his deeper stuff. And again, it depends on your deeper stuff, how you feel about that. It started really going south for him about a year and a half ago when Uranus opposed his natal moon.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It's again all of these aspects. If you've got no backlog, they're just kind of like, oh, that's a change.
Yeah.
If you haven't dealt with stuff, then it hits you pretty intensely.
Well, especially Uranus and the moon, it affects how you relate to the public and what your public persona is. And for him, that was important.
Mm-hmm. And Uranus is trining his Mars-Venus conjunction in Capricorn. Now, that Mars-Venus conjunction in Capricorn can sometimes mean that you eroticize control and that you need control over where your heart is. And that doesn't mean he has to have done that, but the possibility is that was an issue. And it sounds like that was sort of where he got snagged by Epstein.
Yeah, it was on the menu,
Mm-hmm.
but he had to choose it.
Right. And that's, you can never look at a chart and say, is this a good guy or a bad guy? It's like, what do they choose to use with their abilities? And do you have any other comments on them or on the transits at the moment before we look at individual charts?
No.
Mm-hmm.
We of course we have another eclipse coming up in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk about that.
I haven't actually looked at that chart very closely yet, but the eclipses come in pairs because the sun and moon are close to the nodes, and that happens twice a year. So we're getting our pair of eclipses now. We had the solar eclipse first, and next will come the lunar eclipse.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing from a couple of people that there is a very bad echo, and you can't hear it.
No, I don't hear it.
So I'm not quite sure how to. I'm doing the same things as usual. So let me try turning it down. Why don't you keep talking for a few minutes?
Okay. Yeah, see what you can do with that.
And what do you? Your phone isn't echoing, I don't think.
Okay. I don't hear it. And I think people would send a chat.
They did.
Okay, and they're only hearing it on yours.
Mm-hmm. So people, I'm sorry, I can't figure it. I only have one sound on. It's echoing through this. Now, Mercury turns retrograde at the end of the week. And I am already seeing it. Minute Mercury went into its shadow. Mars is squaring Uranus at the same time at the end of next week. And I'm already seeing a lot of technical snafus. This has never happened here. So we've lost power 4 or 5 times in the last 3 days. How have you had with technical stuff?
It's been okay. We haven't had, like, the city hasn't lost any power. And my stuff is working as poorly as ever. So,
Uh, and let's see if I can turn this down a little bit. I can't do it. Okay.
okay, well, Mercury is going to be retrograde in Pisces, and so it's going to make it seem hard to communicate with your Pisces friends, and
Hmm.
your Mercury and Pisces friends, because you're not used to it. But it's a great time for poetry, music, anything expressing through Pisces kind of energy, water and emotion. And there's Mercury trying to get a message across. So probably a message in a bottle in the sea is about the most perfect way.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm still getting the echo, but I'm going to put Carrie's chart on. And Carrie asked, we got some lovely feedback. We've got about 3 or 4 weeks worth of charts to work through. So Carrie says one of that she's starting a new career or attempting to pursue a new career. How do we feel about her chart and what's going on? So what do you see, Mark? This is Carrie's chart, and her progressed moon just passed Neptune, which I think is a really good sign for her for kind of coming into a new work and seeing more clearly. What do you see?
Her transiting Jupiter is going to conjunct the IC, the bottom of the chart, and very soon. And that often produces a change either at the bottom of the chart or the top. Either end of that axis will show the change. At the top, that's the career position. So she's got a really positive bundle of energy coming in with Jupiter. And so the key word for you is yes, if anybody has something to offer. Say yes and sort out the details later. And often Jupiter brings too much. So, you're probably saying yes to too much, but it can be figured out.
I like the Pluto squaring the moon, the just past the square to the moon. It's going to tag it again once more um, next year, but it feels like there are some really fresh beginnings, that there's been so much shedding and a chance to feel a new birth forward in the work.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
good luck that Jupiter on that. Um, with Mars on the midheaven natally, when you make a decision to do something, it tends to happen. But there's been the last 3 or 4 years shedding and letting go and letting go and letting go. So it feels like we're just getting ready to start new. Uranus will be opposing that Venus Uranus conjunction. And that kind of, there's a lot of adjusting that you're doing this spring, getting ready for this new chapter. So stay nimble,
Mhm.
stay limber, stay ready to make the small adjustments. You know, Mercury retrograde from next Friday through March 20th is not a great time to begin new things, but we can get them moving uh, and get ready to launch in the springtime.
Yeah, you may have a feeling now that it's like your wheels are spinning. There's no traction, but the traction will kick in all of a sudden. And again, look to spring for that. And you will have that feeling that, oh, suddenly the wheels grab and you move forward fast.
And good. And we're going to go on to the next chart. I have two Allisons. So we'll start with Allison B. And her comments were, uh, you know, take a look at her chart while I find what her comments were and see what you see, Mark.
Okay.
So Allison said, um, I've been working in finance for the last 9 years, and I was laid off from the job I've held for the last 2 years. I never fit in there, struggled, and was bullied by people higher up. I'm wondering when a new job might be coming, what it might look like financially, and will I feel in a flow? Also, just lost a beloved dog. Is there any good news? So we take a look at her chart and look at how, uh, you know, she's been through a lot. The and Pluto was talking to this square. She's got a Saturn Pluto conjunction at the top of her chart natally. People don't understand her easily with Jupiter and with Neptune in the first house and Jupiter on the other side. They may like her, but they'll believe what she's putting out. If she acts vulnerable, they'll go in. They can go in for the kill. If she says, "I know what I'm doing," they'll believe her and trust that process. I think she's tended to kind of underplay her Aries competence. And I would go back to what was going on in her childhood when she was very young, the first 4 years, as when her progressed sun opposed that Pluto immediately, exactly, that there's some long-standing issues with authority. But it's a little hard for her to step into her personal authority if she doesn't have a form, if she doesn't understand what looks like a good authority around. So I would look for really good examples of people using their authority well and take it from there. Uh, we see that in her progressed chart, in about 4 months, her progressed moon will be coming across the ascendant, and that across the ascendant will help her be visible and her work become more visible to other people and appreciated. Again, it's going to be so important that she imagines herself, that people believe what she projects. So really start with the changing her inside concept of what she can do and then take it out there. What are you seeing, Mark?
Uh, when that when the progressed moon crosses the ascendant, that is going to be key, and you really want to be ready. Uh, it's Sagittarius energy, and so you're meant to take action on it and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, and you you have Jupiter and Uranus together,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's natally, and it's also in your progressions because they move slowly, and uh, that's always good for not knowing for sure what's coming next, but being able to react and pivot quickly, and so that'll be key. So when that progressed moon crosses the ascendant and brings something new in, you can respond to it with, again, a little more Sagittarius energy. So think Sagittarius.
And another thing about this chart, that Saturn Neptune is going right through the bottom of the chart. Uh, Jupiter's coming up to her Venus. I see her really stepping forward. Now, remember that right now things are difficult no matter who you are, because there's so much crossfire. The sun is flaring, the eclipse cycles. that we need to be. Someone asked on our list, why is it so hard right now? When the transits are saying, slow down. My mic was working fine before I got on, and I don't have another YouTube page open. It's just acting up. So I have to work on that. And see how we can, uh, to kind of slow it down, deal with your technical difficulties as you can, and uh, be really kind to each other because everybody's going through these crazy aspects. There's a lot of static in the world. People are feeling we're at this year where so many major aspects are shifting, and we're a change of an era. It's not like we're going back, but what are we going forward to? Whether that's in our personal life or our political life, we're in deep metamorphosis. Guide that metamorphosis by kind of remembering where you want to be and where you want to head and where you want to go next. And I think we're not going to do any other charts while this is acting out. So, Mark, we're at a closure time. Would you like to close with any final comments?
Yeah, let's take a little look inside. You can close your eyes and think about your chart. Think about where Saturn and Neptune are in your chart, what sign they're in, what house they're in, and how they're related to each other. Do they square each other? Do they conjunct each other? Think what the situation is for you natally. And then to take this into a visualization, think of Saturn being the energy to put things together and build and create structure. Think of Neptune as being able to dissolve and soften everything. And have the two of them working on a project. And the project I'm giving them is they're making an ice sculpture. So Saturn is the ice, Neptune is the sculptor, and they're making an ice sculpture of an animal. You can choose the animal. If you're having trouble choosing one, pick ram for Aries. But now look at the animal as you see it. It's been carved in ice. It's maybe getting a little soft now. See the animal look at you and give you a message. What is that message that this animal brings? Okay, open your eyes. And if you didn't get a message this time, do it a little later again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is Heather Ronovan saying goodbye with my strangely echoing mic from Ronan, Montana. And
Mark Rolls, without the echo.
And Ann Ortley, wherever she is, having a wonderful time with her shuffleboard. We hope all is well.
Okay.
See you next week.
See you next week. Thanks for tuning in.